Today we're going to talk about objections, and sometimes we can have objections in isogenics because of maybe things that are going on in their life or how we might be talking about isogenics. So what we're going to do today is go over some of the most common objections and what we can really do to educate people on, are they true objections or not, and what's really holding them back from getting started. Now, there are two ways that you can manage objections, and the first method comes from Susan's slide, and she uses the ABC method. So for that, we're doing A, affirming, B, taking a breath, and then C, continuing. And so when we're doing that, you could say something like, Jim, I know exactly how you feel. But can you tell me a bit more about that? Or that's not what I found. Or you continue on with the conversation. So it's affirming, breathing, and then continuing on. And this is when you can say, tell me more about that. You can decide, is this a how or a why? You can use other people's stories, get on three-way calls, all of that kind of stuff to really work on these. And you want to remind them of their goal at this point. They're talking to you and they reached out to you, or you're having a conversation with them for something. So remind them of what that is. Is this because they wanted to lose weight, or because they needed more money? Get back to that initial reason why they started to reach out to you. And remember that it takes sometimes 5 to 7 exposures for someone to buy something. So, it just might not be the right time. And so asking them something like, if not this, then what? Or if not now, then when? Can really bring back the conversation to why they were originally doing this. The other method you can use is one that Mike Dallaire shares a lot, which is feel, felt, found. So in this particular example, you could say something like, I know how you feel. And what I found is that I didn't have that happen. So, excuse me, in this, you're really acknowledging their feelings and how they felt and what you found. So if it's something like they feel like it's going to take too much money to do this, you could say, I know how you feel, and I felt the same way when I was getting started, but what I found is that I actually saved money, and so it didn't cost me more money to be on this program. So that's how you would use the feel, felt, found method. So let's go through the first one, which is money, and I can't afford it. So one thing to know is that depending on what pack they get started on, it replaces at least 60 meals. If you look at some of the bigger packs, like the President's pack, it replaces just under 100 meals. So it replaces this meals that they would otherwise be spending money for. And you can ask them things that, how much money have you spent to lose weight in the past? If weight loss is something they've been working with for years, they've probably spent money on a lot of other things over time. You can also ask them how much they spend on their groceries, eating out. What does a typical day look like to them? And have them write it out, and where they spend their money and how much they spend on different things, and tally it up and really see the difference, because the 30-day is about $11 a day and the President's pack is about $20 to $22 a day. So you can really gauge and fit it into their budget that way. You could show how they might save money if they're going out a lot to eat or buying extra things that they won't need during this. And emphasize there is that 100% money back guarantee. And so they can feel safe that if they spend the money and they don't like it or it doesn't work, they can certainly get their money back. And also, the best share that you can do when they say, is it too expensive, is you can share with them, if I could show you a way to get these products for free, would that be of interest to you? And that way, they have different options, right? So it's about, one, talking about the health and wellness aspect of it. So how much would you pay to lose weight? How much would you pay for better sleep, more energy, mental clarity? Like, how much is that worth? So you can talk about that when it's too expensive. You could talk about replacing meals and the expense that they would have. And when you're really looking at it, a shake is approximately $4 to $5, and that's everything in shipping, tax, you name it. It's about $4 to $5. So when you really think of that, it's not a lot of money for a very nutritious meal that is highly impactful on their health, because most people can't find lunch for $5 that is full of all of the nutrition that the shakes are full of. So it's really highlighting to them. I also like to share that's about approximately 2 chicken breasts and 3 salads. That's what's in that shake, and it's clean protein, it's clean food. You can also remind them that this is a main goal for them, especially if they've been working on it for a long period of time. You know, maybe go back to how much they've spent on other products. So, you know, Jim Rohn says, never ask what it costs, but ask what it's worth. So make sure when you're talking about maybe the cost of the program or the cost to get started, that you're talking about worth. I also like to tell people that this is not something that costs you $400 a month per se. This is to get started. This is how we get started, because most people need to do a cleanse if they haven't already done one recently. And it's about a lifestyle change. And that we're replacing a large amount of meals during this and really being intense over the month. But to continue on doesn't cost $400 a month. And sometimes I find people are resistant to starting the first month because they think, well, that's what I'm going to just have to spend forever, and I don't have $400 every month. And so when you explain that, you know, maintenance is half of that, it's usually about $200 a month, I find people relax a little bit. There's a bit of relief to it. So maybe talking about that as well can help you when people are talking about that objection. The next objection that people talk about is that they don't have time. And this can be in the product and this can be in the business. And so it's to even just ask them back, how much time do you think this will take? And if it's the product, you can get back to how much time do you think this is going to take to make a shake, to really plan out one meal a day, to get some snacks going. I mean, really, the system is already laid out for you. If it's the business, you can ask, you know, how much time do you think this will take? What if I could show you how to do this in the pockets of your time? Make sure to share your story during this. You know, what have you been doing to build this business? Right? When will the timing be perfect for you? Is there a perfect time? Right? It's about sharing how they can use their time effectively to carve out a few hours here or there to make a huge difference. You know, do they watch TV at night? Are they open to getting rid of that? Do they have a lot of distractions in their life that they're open to letting go of? The key here is to ask questions, right? And to really see, because a part-time commitment could really change their life. And we're really talking about 10 hours a week to really make a life-altering change. And where can they do that? And maybe even doing a simple exercise of what they do in their 24-hour period, because we all have the same 24 hours. And it's how we utilize those 24 hours that's going to be different for each of us. So let's dive in and really see, what are they doing in their 24 hours? Is there time that we can help them to carve out that they can build this business? Can we show them where they could add some time in? And once we help them to see it, then perhaps that time issue will go away. And of course, if you don't have a story that you can use another person's story in this business of how other people, you know, Pam and Kevin, in 10 hours a week, while they were still police officers and still, you know, a lawyer, were able to build this business in the pockets of time. Another objection is, I don't like sales, and this does come up. And this one is a good one because it's about sharing. And I would ask them what they don't like about sales and what they think sales is, because anytime we're really sharing, we're selling something, and we're sharing things all the time. We're sharing things with our children, our family, our business partners, and in a way it's a sales, right? We're asking people to do things for us, to get things done for us, and really highlight that it's not sales in the maybe traditional thing that we think of, where we're going to have to walk door to door like we did in the past. That this is more about working in your network, working in your niches, working in people that you know or have warm markets to, or that you have something in common with. And one thing I will say is that Jeffrey Combs does say that we can't say that this business is not about sales. So some people will handle this objection by saying, well, it's not sales, it's just about sharing. But the truth is that if you want to be very successful in this business, there is a sales component to it. Do you need to be that harsh salesperson that maybe is in their mind? No. And when I have this come up, then often I'll just ask them what sales means to them, and then I will describe what sales has been for me in this business. And when they see that they're not the same thing, it usually allows them to relax. So I find that's the best way, because you do want them to be able to share. And when we're sharing, there is a sales component to that, but it's not in the typical way that people maybe think of sales. So there's importance to create that delineation between the two and really focus on the positives in it. I love this one, and this is, I need to ask my partner, my dog, my cat, my doctor, my friend, my children. And I too think that you need to get support from your family, so I think this is actually a positive thing. But the key things that we need to make sure we're asking is, are they open about new things? And are they open to having a conversation with you about it? And you could do a three-way call with their spouse, with their friend, whoever that is. And that way you can make sure that all the questions get answered. And, Greg, he really had a light bulb moment when I was listening to him at a talk he did. And what he said was to ask them what their qualifications are. And this isn't to be rude, but if they want to ask their spouse or their friend or their, healthcare professional, just to ask, okay, what are their qualifications and expertise? Because I would really like to make sure that I get the right level and right information to them so that they can help you make this decision. So, it first of all gets them thinking about, are they the most qualified person to ask for this? And two, it allows you to be of service to make sure that you're getting the right information to that person so that they can help your prospect make the right decision. So it's really about asking them. And, for some people, this might just be a way to let you off easily without saying no directly to you because they don't want to say no. But it's important to find out, are they the decision maker or not? Who's that decision maker, and really get to that person. If it is a blow off, it just might not be the right time for them, and you can always come back and follow up later and talk to that person. I need to do more research. So I love research too, and I research lots of things over and over again and really want to make sure I know everything. But the key is to ask, what information do they need to know? Because you'll be able to help direct them to find that information quickly. And you're going to want to follow up with these people, and it might take several follow-ups because they may have questions that you have to continuously give them research for before they're able to make this decision. And this just comes down to the core of who they are. There's nothing you can do to change this. It's about working with this. And it's about following up. Okay, great. Now you've got to this level. What information do you need now to make a decision? And keep following through. Okay? And, you've got to listen because they have a particular set of criteria that they may make decisions on, and as long as you give them that criteria, they're going to make a decision. So listen and help them to find the information that they need, and that really can help to speed up the process. Of course, this one's going to come up from time to time, which is this a pyramid scheme? Now, there's many different ways that you can answer this. Some, it's just to say no. End of conversation. You don't need to go on about it. No. You can also expand a little bit on it. Some people answer no. You know, I've been in this company for 3 years. I filed my taxes. I've never had an issue. And obviously, this is a legitimate legal business. The other way that you can handle this objection is to ask them what a pyramid is. Because for most people, they will describe a common business environment where there's a CEO, then the managers, and then all the rest of the workers. And that's really a pyramid because the rest of the workers are never going to make the amount of the CEO. The managers are not going to make the amount of the CEO. And so that's really actually what a pyramid is. Now, in our business of isogenics, it's not a pyramid. And why is it not a pyramid? It's not a pyramid because no matter where you are on the tree, no matter when you came into this business, you actually have the exact same ability to make the exact same amount of money. And so for that, it's really key to know that it's about explaining what a traditional pyramid is. Now, for this objection, it's very hard because I find this a visual one. So in this particular case, it's about maybe drawing it out for them to show what a pyramid is. It's about directing them to some resources to take a look at network marketing, and maybe to clarify, just because it looks like a pyramid doesn't mean it's a pyramid, and maybe using an example of, you know, I think you're talking about a Ponzi scheme. And what a Ponzi scheme is that when you take money and there's really no product. With isogenics, we have a product and we have a payment structure that allows everybody equal right to make the exact same amount of money, regardless of gender, race, when you came into the organization, where you are in the tree. So as far as I'm concerned, it's actually one of the most fair business models. It's actually one that allows everybody to excel, and there's no judgment. There's no discrimination to who you are or where you came into the organization. Now, there are 4 so-called evils in this business that can also become things that hold you back, just like objections. And I do want to just chat about those for a few minutes. And one is rejection. So people will get rejected in this business, and not everybody wants to hear the word no. But it's a normal part. And if you ask anybody in this business, the person that got the most no's is the one that got the most yeses, and so is the one that is really flourishing in this business. Also, there's deception. So people are going to say they're going to do it, but they don't. They're going to promise to show up, and they don't. You know what? We just have to get over that because it's just not important enough right now. It's not the right time. It's not the right place, and we just have to help nourish them and be there for them. We also have apathy, right? People in our team are going to have ups and downs. They're going to say yes. They're going to, you know, not show up for months on end. But you know what? It's about staying the course with them, nurturing, keeping in contact, keeping those connections. You know, it happens, right? There's people where they'll go out of your business for a couple of months, a couple of years, and then come back in, right? So it's staying the course, and then we can have attrition. So attrition is when people just stop using the products, they stop building the business, they just stop. And we can, of course, work on attrition by educating, keeping people in the loop, bringing them to events, making sure they know about new products, benefits, all of those sorts of things. So those are kind of things that we should know about. And when we know about it and are aware of it, we can actually do things to help deal with it. And it's about personal development, right? So again, rejection, they're not saying no to you, they're saying no to the situation. Deception, some people will, some people won't, right? That's just the way it is. Apathy, they'll say they want to, but they don't start. And the truth is that the enemy of an outrageous, fantastic, amazing life is a good life. So that's really where that apathy can come in. And then attrition. So we want to follow up, help them reach their goals, get them paid, keep them on auto ship. We can also use amplifiednetworkmarketing.com. That's David Wood's website. He's done some great YouTube videos and some great calls just about the myths around network marketing. So I really recommend everybody to take a look at that. You can like him on Facebook under Amplified Network Marketing, and that way, you know, you can share these videos as well with people, and it really helps to demystify network marketing and some of these different objections. Now, sometimes we're going to hear no, and it's really no, and we need to respect that. And we don't need to hound people. We don't need to, you know, keep on coming back to it. And quite honestly, a real no is helpful because then you can just let it go and move on, right? And so just keep that in mind as well when you are looking at what people are saying. And not to take it personally, right? This business is about really sharing information, growing yourself, and building a legacy. So hopefully that helps everybody with their objections. And I really, you know, anybody who wants to talk over objections, then certainly post some things in Ice of Power as well, and we can really give some feedback on handling objections.